You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. Feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Doctor, we meet again. The Time Lord and the Toymaker. One final game. It's time.
Hey there, Whovians. The big time is upon us, and yes, it has been prepared for. That's right, folks. We are here to talk all about the Giggle, Part 3 of the 60th anniversary specials. Can't believe it's behind us already.
I know.
We've been like waiting over a year in anticipation for this, and you know what? For everything I had predicted, I got none of them right. So it was perfectly par for the course for us.
That's our track record. We're always consistent.
So, hi everybody. Welcome to Earth Station Who. We got a great crew to talk tonight about the Giggle. Before we get started, of course, we will be spoiling the hell out of it. We are going to be talking as much as we want. This might go a little bit longer tonight because there's just so much to cover. And you know what? Please, if you haven't watched it yet, please do. I've watched it 3 times already, so I'm ready to talk all about this one. Let's welcome our guest for tonight. First, Kirby Bartlett-Sloan is back. Welcome, sir.
Hi.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it. I had predicted that. One of my predictions is right. Finally. Okay. So that is awesome. Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, good to be with you.
And returning after quite some time, Jerry Chandler is back.
And thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I was so glad our schedules worked out this was able to work out and everything.
Yeah, I have a wonderful schedule.
And of course, our regulars are here. Of course, let's say hi to Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. I and my bi-generation clone are very happy to be here.
And of course, last but never least, let's say howdy to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy. I think I'm going to change my handle to, instead of Howdy Mike, I think I'm going to be Stooky Mike.
Stooky Mike.
And we're the Bobbies.
Yeah, okay. Only if I could put you under the really hot lights, that would be perfect.
Sometimes it feels like I'm under those hot lights.
Understandable. We'll save the news to after this review because there's just too much to hit with. So we got the Giggle, and were we giggling through it? Did it make sense? Did it tie into the other specials like we thought it would? No.
No.
Kind of. A little bit.
A
little bit.
Yeah, sort of.
It's not supposed to make sense.
No. But I thought it started out with a bang, and I thought they actually handled Wilf perfectly in that first scene.
But just sort of keeping him off screen and...
They kind of did. I mean, they were, they were in a bad position, so they did what they could. I don't think anybody's going to blame them for handling it the way they handled it. I do, like I said last week, I do kind of wish they'd have like one shot of his face, like from maybe a previous episode or something, just so they could give his estate some more money for an episode. But look, I mean, we all understand what's going on, so it's just sort of one of those things that you just kind of awkwardly have to move past. I think it was more awkward for me at the end when they referred to him as being off screen than it was at the beginning.
Oh, shooting the weasels?
Moles.
The moles.
Yeah.
Moles, that's right.
Yeah.
Shooting the wumbles.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know which was more off-putting. The fact that he was like not there, but he was, he was quote unquote there, but he was not there, or the fact that he was off shooting defenseless creatures. I'm like, I don't know if like I imagine Wolf doing that. Like, I'm like,
I don't know. If you've ever had moles in your yard, you might feel differently.
Well, I have, and I get it, but it just seemed like, man, like,
they were defended.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
They were protected.
Thanks to number 14, yes.
Very much so. He created force fields for them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they did it best they could, I guess. So.
And I love how he actually smirked when he said that. Oh, I gave him force fields.
Yeah.
I gave him force field. That was cute. But it was interesting. I liked how they handled that opening scene with, the continuation of what happened at the end of the last episode with basically the world going crazy and everyone thinking that they're right, which fits so into our society today.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually a little perfect. On the nose, but we get it.
Wait. RTD on the nose? What?
I know. He really likes to
RTD not being subtle? What?
He really likes to bang that point home, man.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Sometimes it has to be done. I think I have I don't sometimes it takes a club, to beat stuff into people and RTD like has a Nerf club, like it's not like that hard. To hit, but it hits nonetheless. And I'm just going to go with this analogy.
Yeah, let's stop there. I think better safe than sorry there. But I liked the opening there, but I loved the cold opening that they did with the toy maker, with the the history of television.
Shop. Yeah, that was good.
And like you had mentioned Stooky Bill, and it was interesting. I didn't know anything about that part because I had heard, I read a lot of during college, the history of television and such, but I didn't know about the UK, the stuff in the UK with the broadcast. I had only read the American version.
You mean an American educational system neglected to include another part of the world?
I know, that's so hard to believe.
So shocking.
I know, it is shocking. But it was interesting to
those public schools.
I've read about it since watching this episode, and it's real fascinating. And, I've actually seen the pictures of, the original Stooky Bill, and they still have, it's still around.
Yep. And
it looks surprisingly like a certain character from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
I think, to me, I really got like, in my face, I was like really reminded of like the Jigsaw thing in the Saw movies.
Yes.
Like, I was like, holy crap, is that real? Like, is that like, and then like you, Mike, I tried to do some research and look it up and everything like that. And I was like, holy crap, this is what it really looked like. And then behind the scenes stuff, Russell T's going like, yeah, I saw that image and I was like, that's a Doctor Who villain.
Oh, yeah.
It is pretty freaking creepy.
It is creepy. And boy, did they really amp up the creepiness of Stokey Bill and his entire family in this.
We'll be talking about the rest of them very, very soon.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's just incredible. But,
my daughter's going to have nightmares for the next month.
I'll have nightmares. Like, that stuff was creepy.
Oh, big time. I agree with that. It was really well done. And, bravo to Neil Patrick Harris. He knocked it out of the ballpark this whole episode. And
yeah, I've seen I've seen critiques like he's too over the top, or I can't stand that outrageous accent. Who's he trying to fool or whatever? And I'm like, he's not trying to fool anybody. No. He's not thinking, oh my God, they're really going to think I'm German, or whatever the accent he's pulling is. I mean, he's going like, you don't hire Neil Patrick Harris if you don't want over the top mayhem. And I think he knocked it out of the park.
Haven't you ever seen, Dr. Horrible? Haven't you ever seen How I Met Your Mother? Haven't you ever seen Doogie Howser or all the other many projects he's done?
Well,
and that's the point of it anyway. They're supposed to be bad accents.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even the bad accents. I think with some of what they actually wrote and what they did in this episode, you needed almost a campy over the top, because like, other than the dolls that we're going to get to later, there are some things he did during the dance sequence and during a number of other things that are really like horrific. Yes. But he's being so over the top. If you got the younger ones in there, they're catching the over the top. The adults are catching the darker, and it's a kind of an interesting balance. So it was like, it's watchable for everybody, but it's accessible in different ways. And I think that actually benefited the character and the story.
I know it's kind of relevant to, the box office this week, but I find it very reminiscent of something like Gene Wilder playing Willy Wonka. Like, it's over the top, but it's effective.
There's a darkness to it.
There's a darkness to it. I have no complaints over his performance whatsoever. I do wish that the character was written better, but overall, I feel like his performance, he brought it. And when I watched it the second time, I even appreciated it more, especially the more serious moments that we get with him. But man, he is really, really good. And he's perfect for this show.
Oh, very much so.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was interesting, too, because with the accent, even the guy who went into the toy store at the very beginning said, hey, your accent is kind of faltering there.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't even trying to keep the German accent.
No, he's not even using German words half the time. Germans cannot say Gewandting.
This is splashy, like whatever, it's like, I guess if some people are really just looking for something to be offended by, they're going to find it. But this is just nonsense. It's fun. I have no problem with that.
In the making of
fanboys later, don't worry.
In the making of, they were interviewing him, and he said that in the script it's written phonetically, and it wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have, if he was doing a German accent, he wouldn't have read it that way, but he was deliberately following the script.
Interesting.
So blame RTD.
Of course, we always do.
Everything's RTD's fault.
Yeah.
No, and that whole opening scene though with him was so frippin' spooky. It was dark right from the very beginning.
The toy shop is creepy from the second you walk in.
Well, not even the toy shop. When they started doing the experiment on Stooky Bill and they tore off his head and basically put it on the post and on the podium, and I said, oh, this is television, we need to have something, some way to animate it. And the mouth opened and it was like, oh my God, I almost jumped the first time I saw that.
Well, that was really Saw-like,
Oh yeah, I got the Saw feel from that.
And the mouth drops open as it's burning in flames.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just awesome. Oh, and then when he was describing the hair, about, oh, I took it off a poor woman. She will not need it anymore.
She won't miss it.
She won't miss it. It was just like
ever again.
It was like, oh, and then he smiled that smile. It was just like, all the way already, right from the very beginning. So it was bravo for that, for creeping me out right from the beginning.
Yeah, and if that wasn't creepy enough, then he after he does that, says that about the hair, then he gives a racial insult to the customer.
Yes, almost immediately.
Exactly. Man, he is going full out creepy villain.
Yeah, this is not a good guy, And so it was interesting. I liked that part. And then we, when we got back, we talked about, the world going crazy and everyone being right. Then we got the drop-in of Unit. And I loved Unit's headquarters. I loved Unit's headquarters, even though
Stark
it looked
Towers?
Like the Avengers Tower.
Yeah. Well, Tony Stark didn't need his London pad anymore, so.
No,
I was glad that the doctor immediately said, your father was trying to keep this a secret And here you are.
You got a great big tower.
It says unit on the side of it.
But how wonderful is it? Like they land, there's things going on, where reintroduces some characters, and Kate just walks right up and hugs him, and you're like, okay, this is like something serious is happening. Like this is, it sends a clear message that there's like some serious crap going down here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so. And Kate was awesome in this. She was great. This might be, I think, my favorite performance of her. Mm-hmm. And it was, I loved seeing her, and I loved seeing the new science advisor back again from the very first special. Yeah. Shirley was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, Shirley's awesome. We still miss Osgood though, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
we're all like, where's Osgood?
Yeah, she can show up at any time.
Sure. She's on assignment, right?
Exactly.
I don't know what to think of that
robot,
that AI alien, whatever that thing is.
Yeah,
it's never explained.
No,
yeah,
which I thought was great.
That screams to me, hey, we're going to be in a spin-off. That's what that screamed to me. Like, hey, you don't build that unless you're going to do a spin-off.
With no explanation, because I put that up there with, like, on Sarah Jane, Mr. Smith, I need you, and the computer comes out of the wall. It's the same
with the
thing.
fanfare.
Yeah, exactly. Every time. So I put it completely up to that. So yeah, there was no explanation for it, and I don't think there needed to be for this. Let them do that in the spin-off.
It would have been, I didn't think anything of it one way or another, to be honest.
No, exactly. One of the things I loved was the callback to the 50th anniversary special with them, the helicopter carrying the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
To Unit headquarters.
I was actually going to say something about when you were talking about seeing Kate again. I was like, it was nice that she's become a little more courteous to the Doctor. She's actually making sure he's not in the TARDIS before picking it up.
No, that was awesome. And, the question is, did they ever say how many days had gone between, the Starbeast story and this story? Did they say that one?
14 says something about, like, Donna starts in the last episode at the very end. Donna starts to bail out of the TARDIS at the end, and he's like, we may be a few days later than I thought. Like, it's just days. I don't think it's that long.
I don't think it's been that long.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And I think in this one they said that this had been going on 2 days, that it began 2 days ago.
Yeah, when the satellite went online.
Yeah.
Plus, in the last one, when Donna's sort of thinking about predicting, like, what would happen if they don't show up on the next day, like, this will happen, but, like, she says Granddad will be there, like, all the time. And so you kind of feel like it's not been that long, but long enough that Granddad's going to be there waiting for them, and even though the rest of them are bunkered down somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. And folks, let me just say something real quick. We usually don't review an episode in order. We just have a discussion. But this has so much going on, we have to do it in order.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and everything.
Well, it's just easier.
Scene by scene.
Oh, exactly. And then I love
every
seeing...
scene has something to talk about.
Oh,
pretty much.
Very much
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Very much so. I loved seeing Mel back. I love that surprise.
Yeah, that was fun.
So
it was great to see Bonnie Langford back.
So in 5 minutes, Mel gets much more character development than she ever did in her entire run with.
I was going to say the same thing. Mel,
she's actually working on a computer. She's actually working on a computer. And she was a computer programmer.
Steven says that in the behind the scenes thing.
No carrot juice.
Yeah.
She no, I'm serious. Bonnie Langford just went from probably like my
carrot juice
bottom of my list of my list of companions to she's not in the top 10 yet, but she rose significantly with this.
Well,
and I have a feeling that a spinoff is going to continue having her.
It's possible. I mean, certainly I would think that, this allows, I think if, depending on what we see, I think it's open to almost any former companion to come back with a unit-based show.
Oh, hell, Kate offered
to hire companions.
Yeah, well, Kate offered Donna a job.
Yeah, you get a feeling that they've been offering former companions jobs all the way
right
around.
And left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because look at
everyone but Mickey.
Keegan. Yeah.
everybody
but Mickey.
And everyone but Mickey.
And apparently they really want the companions.
Okay.
Yeah. But no,
Mickey's
apparently
dead.
they really want the companions, especially. It's like that negotiation. We'll give you 60,000, 120,000, 5 weeks vacation. Done. And my first thought was, as fast as she said done, how much higher would she have actually gone?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
wow.
I mean, look at that tower. Unit's making money. I don't know how they're making money, but they're making money.
Alien technology.
There you go. Yeah, they're selling alien technology.
I loved how Donna figured out the musical notes
That was nice.
and everything with the brainwave stuff. And
she's used very well here.
And then the show took a really dark turn when they were explaining the brainwaves, and Kate took off the armlet and everything. That was such a dark scene.
Yeah.
And what she was saying and how, and she sounded like a trumper. God, sorry.
No, I mean, that was the point. I think RTD was trying to get across there.
Oh, very much so. Oh, and I felt so bad when she said, I've seen you. Why are you in a wheelchair? I've seen you stand up. And it's like, wow.
That was RTD correctly predicting what the trolls would say in the first episode.
And they were saying that.
They were saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, RTD perfectly predicted that was going to happen and uses it here to show how ignorant they are.
Very much so. And
wow. Unfortunately, it's not even like the trolls, and it's not even there's that moment where I've seen genuinely decent people, but we have that kind of binary thought process. You're handicapped or you're not. And if you're handicapped, it means this. You're disabled, it means that whatever. And a lot of people don't realize. I deal with a person around work all the time, and she can walk for an hour or so a day. But because of what's been happening with nerves and things, she's mostly in a wheelchair because her legs will only handle so much. So you'll see her walking around. And some genuinely decent people have been like, she's got a handicap spot. I know I've seen her walking. It's like, she's got a degenerative nerve issue. So she can only walk but so much. She's handicapped. And they're not being jerks. It's just we do that. And
not everyone with a handicap plaque is in a wheelchair, my friends. There's other reasons.
Well, not everybody in a wheelchair is paralyzed from the waist down.
Look at our friend Dr. Scott Gay. He can move around with crutches and such, but he's also a lot in a wheelchair.
I mean, well, I don't think anybody look, nobody on this podcast needs I'm not the troll.
I'm saying it to the people at home.
Well, I'm hoping that, our listeners are smarter than that as well, but
they're listening to us. Of course they're smart.
I was going to say, if not, then shame on you.
But I think doing that the way they did it, we've experienced Kate through multiple doctors now. We think of her as a fairly decent person. And decent person people can sometimes have that thought, even if they realize they learn from it because they're decent people, unlike some others. But that showed even in some really decent people, there's occasionally these things, and that's what this spike is feeding on.
Very much so.
And I think it's important to send these types of messages, to have these sort of messages in shows that are going to be seen by young people, kids, entire families. It's important to get them on the right track of thinking that way, instead of fighting it later when they're adults.
Yes. Well, we all have our biases. I mean, we all have our dark thoughts deep down. We've all been indoctrinated in our own culture, and it's hard to get past that sometimes. So, yeah, I'm really that was an amazing moment. I think that RTD did that for a well-respected character to have that moment.
Yeah, and they get rewarded at the end of the episode too.
And it touched on more than the handicap as well. It touched on, like, when she started going after the doctor.
Yes.
Yes. It was basically, you're the foreigner. What are you doing asking me questions? Mm-hmm. Except referring to as the two-hearted alien who wasn't born again. Which again, it's I've seen that in decent people, but decent people learn from it and get over, and I think that's kind of a thing too with what they did, was because she felt so horrible about it. She knows she grew up in that kind of jingoistic society, and she grew up with some of these ideas. She grew out of them. It's still feeding on it though, because they're still in the back of her head. Most of us still in the back of most of our heads, but we learned better if we were exposed to them.
That's a good way to put it, Jerry. I agree with that.
And I think it's another reason why this episode with Kate is like one of the best to feature her, because she has moments like that. We learn a lot about her, even without like really like it's just, it's just there. It's not anything that has to be explained or explored or flashbacks or whatever. It's just there. And in fact, it's a big moment for Kate, because according to something that I read here, and it was on the internet, so it must be true. Kate Stewart now has met as many or more incarnations of the Doctor than her father, the Brig.
Yes.
Really? So she met 11.
Way to go, Kate.
11, 12.
13, that's considering like the TV canon. Doctor. Not Big Finish or anything.
She never met 10.
Because she did during the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. And the War Doctor.
That's what I said that.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm just going
I'm agreeing. So yeah, she's met more incarnations of the Doctor than the Brig, as far as we know. So.
Mm-hmm. No, that's pretty awesome. And when the doctors, when they figured out that it was Stooky Bill's ha 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 ha, the giggle, and going through everyone's head and saying, how could we have gotten that? And the doctor started activating the image of him on the screens. That's where I got the Saw feel to it.
Yeah.
And everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you notice that? I didn't notice this till I watched it again, but Neil Patrick Harris does the laugh in the very beginning as the toy maker.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I thought
took my third
cool.
viewing to notice that.
Yeah, me too. But it was a nice touch.
I noticed it on the second one. It was just like, oh man, it's a laugh. He was like, ha ha ha. It's just like,
I remember hearing the laugh the first time I saw it and going, that's an interesting laugh. And then a few minutes later, it shows up. One thing I loved in the unit things at the beginning was they brought back Trinity Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the
yeah.
newscaster.
Yeah.
Who was all through the RTD era.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a conspiracy theorist.
Of course.
Me too.
Shocker.
I am anti-Zedex.
I'm not going to let them control my brain.
That wasn't an anti-vaxxer parody.
Yeah, that was so anti-vaxxer. It was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, even beyond anti-vax. You were saying he's so good at predicting things. That is unfortunately so on the nose for the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I know. It's interesting though. And then, I loved, when the Doctor and Donna, when they figured out where they had to go, and the conversation between Donna and the Doctor, you never mentioned any of your old companions. You never mentioned Mel. You never, talk about any of them. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too, and then she pulls it at him. And this is the first time we hear it, that the doctor is wearing himself out, and that's maybe why the old face came back. You start getting into that. Mm-hmm. That was real interesting with it. And, they hit it right on the head later where they say, and we're jumping up a little bit, but that's where they say, that he's, never stopped, pretty much since his first incarnation as the Hartnell doctor. He's gone from, this to this, to this, to this, to this. It's always been one thing after another. He's never had time to stop and just chill
except for several hundred years on in the Town of Christmas.
Yeah, I thought about that too, Kirby.
I thought that one too.
Plus that's something that we have to be told, because we don't know what the doctor does in between stories. We have no idea, Mm-hmm. We don't see him, we don't see him sleep. We don't see him go to the bathroom. We don't see him do a lot of things that we just sort of take for granted that folks do. So we have to be, told that. And I think that, they're trying with these 3 specials, Russell's trying to show that he's near the end, like he's really running ragged. And yeah, he really hits it, hammers it home here. I don't know if he does a great job at doing that in the last couple episodes. There are moments in the last couple of episodes, but man, he really accelerates things on this level here.
No, agreed. And it was just interesting. I loved how they hit on that. One little go back to unit headquarters when Kate asked asked the doctor for permission to destroy the satellite because of the international issue. That goes back to the doctor.
Still president of Earth.
The president of Earth. Yeah.
He's still. It's kind of like, why are they getting him? Why are they asking him for permission? Because he's still the president of Earth.
Never been voted out. So
it's just like, we need permission. He's like, I give you permission, and she's like, great. Like that was like,
she's
wow.
Like, yes.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too. That's like, it's so subtle. Some people, newer viewers, might be like, what? But we get it. It doesn't need to be like, you don't need to spend 5 minutes to explain it.
Oh, exactly. Oh, do you remember that time we were fighting the Zygons and I became the president of the Earth? And no, you don't.
Yeah.
There are some, like for a celebratory 60th anniversary special, that's the way that they lay these things out. We're not, it's not like in your face. I mean, there are some returning companions and people and characters and stuff like that, but there's a lot more subtle things, references to past things than we usually get in a Doctor Who story.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you got more of that in this episode than any of the other 2.
True.
So it was just interesting. And then I love the scene, the Doctor looking in the window of the curiosity shop and the toy maker, playing the games, hiding and, going
it's
up.
All a game.
Down.
It's all a game.
Oh, it's all a game. And then when he walks in and they recognize each other and the Doctor, literally tells Donna, go back to the TARDIS. And, what do you mean? You're telling me to go? And it's like, yes, go back.
And she's like,
and
never.
It's like, you never do that.
Tell me to do that. Like,
exactly.
we've heard him tell other companions to do that, but maybe he's never.
They never
done
do
that.
it, but
Well, I was going to say, it doesn't. It never holds water. I don't think I've ever seen a companion go, okay.
And I'm not usually a big fan of the flashbacks, showing like old past incarnations or something, but with showing Hartnell and the original toy maker was awesome. At that scene.
Well, and it made sense.
It made total sense.
So shocked they didn't use the animation stuff that they're.
Oh my god!
Oh, shut up! Shut up!
We have to talk about that at the end.
Shut up, you!
and you were saying about the flash. I don't like a lot of flashbacks either, but that was literally a flashback. It was like pop, pop, pop. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was like a flash on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think it was perfect the way that was done.
Mike, I need to put a pin on that for a second because I'm not familiar with that story. I mean, I've heard a lot about it. I've not read it. I've not heard it, the audio of it. Kirby, you guys have covered that episode,
yes,
right?
We did.
Now, let me ask you this: does the Celestial toy maker here? Does the toy maker in this feel like the same character that's in that story at all?
It's been several years since we did that story, sort of. And I did go back and I watched the official Doctor Who YouTube channel put out a video just a couple of days ago. Or, no, actually, I think it was 2 weeks ago, of the final game of the first Doctor and the toy maker, which was interesting to watch, where the Doctor won and how he won. So you might want to seek that out and watch it.
I definitely want to, because I'm kind of curious as to whether, because I got the impression during that sequence when they're first off face to face that at one point the toy maker loses the accent and he talks in this deep voice, and it's not Neil Patrick Harris's voice, it's something else. And I was like, is he going for Michael Go's voice on that? Like, I didn't know if Michael, when he played the toy maker, I didn't know if he went into accents and had a lot of fun with it as well.
I don't remember.
I
Gotcha.
don't think he did.
No,
I don't remember he did.
Yeah, he didn't do that. He was basically Michael Go playing Michael Go. You know, he wasn't as he wasn't as manic and all, but I think that's kind of a Russell T Davies thing, because
sure,
because when the Master during the Russell T Davies era, the actor later had said he wanted to play it more kind of like we saw him in the final story for Capaldi. He wanted to be the more traditional Master that he grew up with. Russell T Davies wanted manic. So apparently he has a thing for manic.
Yeah. Well, in the behind the scenes, he says, it's really challenging to come up casting wise and character wise with a character and an actor who's going to go up against David Tennant as the Doctor. And I think at least acting wise, performance wise, they're on par with each other here. And that's they're perfectly matched. And I know that we didn't see him die at the end, but damn, I do hope that we see this matchup again at some point, because I love this performance and I'd like to see more. I'd like to find out more about the toy maker.
Well, and he says something about how, what was it, his minions?
My minions are coming.
His legions.
No, his legions are coming.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things coming.
That's on my list. Don't worry, it's coming.
We've got some notes on things that are coming. Legit things are coming, not that things that have people think might be coming, but things that legitimately RTD lays out here going, these things are coming.
Yeah. Anything I think that's coming, like I said earlier in the show, that's thrown out.
Forgot it. But no, you were saying with the finding the right combination, it wasn't just finding the combination for matching the Doctor. On one of the behind the scenes that they've been dropping on YouTube, they were talking about the perfect combination of getting getting him to play the toy maker, and how difficult it would have been if they couldn't have gotten the right casting. Yeah. And when you watch the show, you got a guy who legitimately does card magic and sleight of hand and all of this stuff, and you don't realize, the first time I was watching it, I didn't realize how often when he's just like in the opening scenes and some of the others, he's never just standing still. He's juggling, he's flipping the things, he's doing all of this, and it's a weird little thing to notice, but it adds so much to what they were building, because he's always playing a game. Even if he's not playing somebody else, he's playing a game of some sort. He can't stop playing a game. And it would have been hard.
Something that would have been bleeped out, so it's okay. Yeah, I get
it. And it would have been hard for somebody else for them to get somebody who would be doing all of that in the background and making that feel the way it did.
Mm-hmm. No, the casting was perfect for this.
Neil Patrick Harris also has a background in puppetry. He knows
he does.
how to manipulate the marionettes. He did all that himself.
I am.
Oh, yeah.
I am never playing cards with Neil Patrick Harris.
No. No.
I actually own his card deck.
Ooh,
Wow.
there
You know,
go.
he's got a signature card deck out.
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
Wow.
I
So
do amateur card magic.
That's why that's why we have Jerry on the show.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I loved how, you know, they were throwing the ball at each other right there, foreshadowing that it was also really awesome that how Donna got involved in. Of course, Donna was the one with balls, you know,
Yeah.
which is
He
pretty
bowls.
cool. And the second oldest game, hide and seek. And that was awesome. The halls, just something out of, Scooby-Doo, or it actually, I was thinking about it, was also the God Complex of Doctor Who episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
It's also kind of this play on the fact that how many times has Doctor Who stories of Doctor Who depended on using one hallway over and over and over again?
Yes. That's where they save money.
Just shooting it
That's
from
where the
different angles.
Disney
And
money
so we get
ran out.
we get this really compressed version of that. I'm like, the only thing that was missing was like a quarry.
Yeah. I mean, they do that in Angels Take Manhattan, too.
Yeah,
The hallway
yeah,
with
absolutely.
doors over and over.
Oh, they do. But
Running through corridors.
exactly. But it was interesting, though, because when the door closed between the Doctor and Donna, that was right out of the Girl Who Waited.
Yeah.
With Amy and the 11th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of callbacks to old stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
There's a nice moment, or an interesting moment actually, between the two of them right before that, when the Doctor is really struggling and he's like, I don't have my Sonic, I don't have my TARDIS, I don't have my toys. Like, who am I without my toys?
No, that was a great.
I'm not saying that was earned, but it was interesting.
No, but there was a lot of times in this episode where it was Donna doing the picking up of the Doctor.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's on purpose because RTD is really showing you like, yeah, this guy's on his last leg. He needs he's using his companion to stand. Like he's leaning into his companion so much.
And I actually thought that was kind of an interesting juxtaposition to what they did with one of the more recent Doctors as well, in order to try to show how worn out he's become in recent years. Because the first Matt Smith episode was, I don't have my TARDIS, I don't have my sonic screwdriver, I've got 1 hour to save the world, let's see if I can do it. But he's been through so much, especially with Capaldi and several of the things they did that extended his time, that you can imagine he's more worn out right now than probably any incarnation. And he's got that point where that optimistic energy is gone.
Mm-hmm. No, agree with that. Agree with that completely. And it's showing more and more on David's face through this episode.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I mean, he's got like the sort of this half beard. He's not shaven.
Yeah,
he's
very
his hair, such that it is a mess. Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, he looks ragged. Like just. He looks like, I mean, there's bags underneath his eyes. Like he's just looking like, I mean, it is really like hammered home here. Accelerated, if you will, based, because even last episode, even while Bulander, he didn't look this bad. I mean, he had some tough things, but it didn't, show on his face that much. But I give it to him. I mean, this is a story that RTD wants to tell. So, let him go.
Exactly. And it was interesting. And then they touch on the stuff about the salt line from the previous episode.
Then encase it in salt.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's where I honestly did not think we would see the effects of that so fast. So, credit to that one YouTuber as well as you guys, because I just didn't. Anybody else who predicted that would open up the door for the toy maker, because I just didn't think we were going to get it paid off that soon.
It was a YouTube thing that I saw that where I heard that was probably doing it.
Yeah, it still doesn't make perfect sense to me, but
No.
I'll it's okay. I'll let it slide. Like, yeah, okay, that's it.
It was awesome. And I also love that they then had two of the frippin' creepiest scenes in this whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
It was. Let's talk about the David one first. And with the doctor finding the guy from the very opening of the show, like pinned up against the wall.
Oh my God, that was creepy.
And it was interesting. It looked awesome. That he lost the game against. He ended up coming back to the toy shop and to complain about the puppet, and the toy maker challenged him to a game, and he lost, and so then he was trapped.
Then he became the puppet in a
He
way.
became the puppet. Oh, and then that scene with the whole roof coming off and the strings and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was Nightmare on Elm Street right there.
Yes.
They did that.
Backing up for half a second to where he finds him on the wall.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I thought it was interesting the particular imagery they used, because it's kind of a similar thing they always talk about when somebody's playing that kind of dangerous game with you. It's like the spider luring you into the web. Mm-hmm. And he looked like a bug that had been stuck to a spider web and wrapped
up.
Yeah. And that was the first thing I thought when he came in, and you saw that on the wall, was I half expected to see a spider or something until he started doing whatever, because that's what it was.
The CGI was great for the puppet and for the guy's head, but when they put David's head on it, not so much.
Yeah.
It worked for me.
It took me out of it.
I still thought it was creepy.
Oh yeah, it was totally creepy. No, I agree with that. But it was fun, and that was what it was about. And that was an awesome scene. And then Donna's scene with the puppets.
Yeah.
With the
babies lowering down.
Yeah, the spooky babbies.
Yeah, I had to go back to watch that one with the subtitles on, because the rhymes. I needed to figure out all the rhymes.
Oh, Donna's rhyme. Oh, it's just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Do not get on Donna Noble's bad side, folks.
Yeah. Just to watch Donna bash the heck out of a puppet, that made the episode worth it, just right there.
And it's like, do I hear anything else from you, babies? I love that.
The babies are just like backing off. Like, no, we're good. The baby scene, the Stooky babies harken back to a scene from Barbarella as well, where she gets attacked by little babies. I think when the Stooky wife is like climbing up her, that is so creepy.
Yeah.
The design of those puppets. And I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out. All three of these specials, whether it's the Meep, or whether it was the robot in the second one, these puppets here, like puppetry and Doctor Who is just on fire. Like I give a lot of credit to the puppet makers. They do interview, I think, the puppeteers on all three of the making ofs. It's the same guy, I think, the head puppeteer, and keep him on, like, because he is doing a great job. And I'm glad to see, like, not since I think Farscape have I seen like puppetry used in a science fiction fantasy show this well.
No, agreed.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And it was just awesome. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, and I don't know if they were trying to go for a theme, but like I said, you see the one guy, and the first thing that registered in my mind was a fly trapped by a spider. Mm-hmm. How did the babies descend down on Donna?
Yeah. Like
they came slowly down like spiders on a web.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's that link between marionettes and spider webs. Like it's really well done.
And dolls are just creepy anyhow. There's an entire genre in America, Japan, and England of creepy doll horror movies that give people lifelong nightmares.
Oh, very much so.
Yes. And babies are creepy too.
No, I can't say anything. Mine might hear me.
and that just proves the point. He is fearful of his own babies. They might hear me.
It's interesting. Then we get the scenes with the toy maker that we've seen for almost a year now, since they introduced, that Neil Patrick Harris was going to be the toy maker, the whole thing with the puppet show. And you've seen that scene, over and over, but it was so well done. It was so well done. The whole scene, him telling the tales of the companions that followed Donna.
Yeah, that I hadn't seen that stuff before. I guess, not watching the trailers or whatever.
Well, no, not even the trailers in any of the promotional pictures.
I hadn't seen that stuff before. So,
you haven't seen the picture of them introducing Neil Patrick Harris as...
Yeah, but I hadn't seen him with the marionettes.
No, not with the marionettes,
but just the stage.
The stage. In that scene.
I hadn't seen him with the stage. The only thing I'd seen was him dancing in the street with the makeup and the tux. That's the only thing I'd seen before.
Him in the clouds manipulating the strings. I remember seeing that in a couple of the bumpers in the trailers.
That was awesome.
I didn't.
But I don't think I ever saw him in front of that stage.
Because
I hadn't realized that the whole Moffat era. I don't know if this is RTD making fun of his buddy Steven, but I didn't realize in the whole Moffat era that Moffat pretty much killed everyone else.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
I hadn't realized that, and then sure, the doctor, is like, well, they got better, and
that's okay then.
The toy maker going, well, that's all right then. I just thought it was
and interesting in an American accent too.
It was so well presented, well done, and like I said, a pretty interesting shot there that I we've been studying Moffat's era for a while, and I'm like, how come I never really noticed that he did that with his companions every time? I guess because the way that they quote unquote died and then lived on afterwards was always sort of uniquely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it became such a trope that nobody really dies. And
yes, that did too. Yes, right. So that's all right.
I love what I'm seeing right now. It's like how everyone was saying, "Oh, they brought up all the Moffat companions, but did they mention any of Jodie's companions? No, none."
You know why? Because they didn't die.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point. That's why he didn't mention any.
They had to bring up Graham.
I mean, who doesn't want to see a marionette Graham? I mean,
that goes without saying.
But see, I think then that sort of eclipses everything else that's going on.
Exactly. You can't have Graham in there and just nothing else would make any sense or mean anything after that.
You wouldn't care about by generation or anything. No, it would just be like going, when is Graham going to get his own spinoff?
Yeah, exactly. When is Graham coming back?
Yeah,
exactly. So we're all hoping for that anyway. So
obviously there will be a Graham spinoff. I mean,
sure,
they not do that?
I have no doubt.
No, of course not.
Well, Big Finish is doing the 12-part series.
Yes, a box set, of course. Yeah. So it's going to be awesome. And I loved then the doctor, challenged the toy maker to a game, and his face totally lit up. He completely changed, and it's like, okay, a game and everything. And I love Donna was going, he's going to cheat. He's, and it's like, and both the doctor and the toy maker both looked at Donna like, what? Cheat?
No, he's
God, he did. Dude, toy maker didn't just look like what? It's like toy maker looked like absolutely like someone had just farted at a proper dinner or something. It was like the look he gave her, like suggesting he was going to cheat, was just beautiful.
How dare you, sir? That's interesting. But some of the comments they were making while he was shuffling the cards was just real interesting. Because
we find out that the toy maker's been around for a little while.
Yeah, the toy maker made the Doctor's past into a jigsaw puzzle.
That was interesting.
Timeless child.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking, wow, is that where the timeless child came from?
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, very, very interesting there. And then
not just the timeless child, but a jigsaw puzzle, and sometimes you have missing pieces. Where does that put the Ruth Doctor?
Exactly.
If it plays with all of this, what's going to get shaken up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a little bit about that after we go through this. Because, there's stuff that RTD has said that we'll talk about. But it's interesting also then they had, of course, about the Master.
Mm-hmm.
And that he found the Master dying. And he then offered to play him a game, and the Master lost, and now he's in the gold tooth.
Ding.
Ding. which was awesome. So you have to think about which Master was it? Was it the one we just saw at the end of Jodie's era? Power of the Doctor?
I mean, we don't know.
It doesn't really matter.
But the fact
the Master.
It doesn't matter.
The fact that he said, the thing about the jigsaw, and then right after that he talks about the Master, kind of lead me to believe that that's on the same, like around the same time period. Like, so It's the Master that we last saw is what I understood. That's the only rationale I have for that. But if they want to make more of it, they can, of course.
Mm-hmm. So, and then we had The One Who Waits.
The One Who Waits.
The One Who Waits.
Which the toy maker said,
Nope.
Yeah.
The toy maker said that.
It's not Amy.
So yeah, we've got someone big, someone or something big on the horizon, and that that's RTD going. That's RTD going. Hey, something's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same entity that the Meep was referring to as the boss?
Who knows?
We don't know. I'm done guessing, folks.
Yeah,
remember,
exactly. I mean, we know, or there's nothing in this episode to suggest that the Meep was referring to the toy maker as the boss.
No. Yeah.
So
even though I thought it was when the Meep first mentioned.
Oh yeah,
that.
I swore up and down last week.
We are left with 3 potential big bads to come in the Hooniverse, which is the Meep's boss, He Who Waits, and the legions of the toy maker. Like, so we've got 3 big things that are to come that we really know nothing about, and they could be all linked, but they're probably not.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ronnie.
No. We'll get to the Ronnie in a minute, Kirby.
Yeah. Don't worry, that's already come up.
Right, that's already come up at the end.
Yeah.
I have a different theory about who that was, but we'll get to it.
I almost want to know how many other people had the mental short circuit that my daughter did when he threw that line out, and then there was He Who Waits, not going to do it, and she was like, the character from Loki.
It's a crossover.
No, that's He Who Remains.
Yeah. They're both time travel shows, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. The Doctor
and they are like distributed by the same company now. So
the Doctor is now part of Secret Wars. It's okay. Yeah.
And if it's David, if it's Shooty, I don't care. Like teaming up with Tom Hiddleston, yes, please.
No,
I'll take that.
Yes, and it's interesting. The toy make, it was just interesting, the card game, and then David figuring, hey, 2 out, we're tied now, 2 out of 3. And
did anyone figure out whose face was on that king?
It was the toy makers.
Yeah, it was the toy maker, the original.
And it looked kind of like Michael Gow.
Yeah, it was Michael Gow.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was watching it. But all over Instagram today, they were saying it was Matt Smith.
Yeah.
No, it was Michael Gow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I could have sworn it was
I
the
agree.
original toy maker.
Yeah, me too. I don't.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, no.
I mean,
Drawn by a cat. Sorry.
it was a drawing, and they both kind of have angular features.
Faces.
So yeah. But yeah, I think it was supposed to be the original toy maker because he was dressed up kind of in the fake Asian headdress and robes, and
I got
exactly.
that too. Yeah, and it just seemed like, if it's the toy maker's deck, yes, he's going to be the king.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I was just about to say when he put it down, he literally said, "I am the king."
Yeah,
and it's his card.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I loved how the whole building collapsed into the box, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was so very well done.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
Yeah, and it foreshadowed the effect that we'll see later when it folds himself. So that was well done.
Mm-hmm. Foreshadowing. There's tons of foreshadowing in this episode, though.
It's called good writing. Mm-hmm. And, I can't believe we're now like almost an hour into this and we haven't passed Chibnall yet.
By all means, Mr. Gordon, go for it.
We're trying not to think about Chibnall?
Well, but I think that's one of the reasons why we are so excited for these 3 episodes because we, sometimes you don't realize how thirsty you get in the desert, right? Like you just don't know. And then all of a sudden, yeah, exactly. And then you're just bathing in the waters and you're like, this is amazing. Yeah, it's, I'm not saying it's perfect. Lord knows I have things, but,
but there's a difference between having like little quibbles and having just bad writing the whole way through.
Yeah. Well, some of my quibbles aren't little, but they're not like, they're not ginormous size, like Chibnall was, but so yes, we are now an hour in. We've had our Chibnall bashing. We can move on.
So now let's move on back to the present day over at unit headquarters. And man, that was Avengers Tower. Yes. Well, so now we have to change it to meanwhile back at Avengers Tower. So we can change it to that. Okay. So it was interesting though, because I loved, the doctor came back and, gave Mel the box and it's like, hold on to this. Don't open it. And I loved then, the music started playing and the scene with the toy maker dancing throughout the floor in the headquarters was just awesome. And, a couple of them didn't survive that though. When they turned the soldiers to balls.
That was horrific.
Oh.
Yeah.
Seeing the screaming faces on the balls was just like, whoa.
Yeah, he's not a nice man.
No.
He's
like
not
as fun as this is,
a nice person. You don't know if he's a man or a female.
Actually, he's an element, right?
Yeah,
he's an element. We're just wearing a face.
Yes.
So yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's not a nice element. He's a bad element.
No.
But yeah, throughout all the fun of dancing and all that kind of stuff, because it is really fun. It's manic, but it's it's got an Agent of Chaos, a Joker vibe to it.
Oh, very much so.
And even the deliberate choice of certain things, as he's dancing through, and they start trying to shoot, they're suddenly shooting rose petals out, and rose petals are falling all over, and all of this is happening, and it's building and building, and rose petals are covering everyone. And I think I saw in like one of the behind the scenes, somebody joked that like that was so he could have his American Beauty moment. And you see Neil, except until I saw that, I didn't even, until I saw that, I didn't think of American Beauty. I'm looking at that. They're constantly shooting and just making more rose petals. It's red. It's like he's doing this thing and he's the villain and he's having this manic good time. But at the same time, it's like the entire place is being covered by blood if that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw that too. Yeah, he's bathing in his enemy's blood, and this is the only way they can really show it for kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But the one scene where they show it from the top and look down, I was like, that's American Beauty right there.
Yeah.
He's making snow angels, rose angels, blood angels, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, it's very American Beauty.
It almost made him more scary though with that aspect, because it's like he's doing it as rose petals, but it's almost like he was just letting them know, this is if I wanted to, this is what I could do. This is what I could have done to you.
I can wipe you all out just like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very much so. And throwing spinning Kate into the wall, and same thing. And then with Mel. It was just like, wow. It's just like, oh, that would be kind of dark if they killed off Mel right there.
Yeah. Well.
And it's just like, oh, okay, fitting in, but, better than, going off with glitz,
A unit doesn't have anybody wearing actual red shirts, but there are plenty of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Saying we lose a lot of unit that
we do. Oh, my God. When they went out to the gun, when he was out there, and Kate said, "Where's my soldiers?" Oh, they're still falling.
And then thud.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just like, that was dark. And it was just like,
yes.
And then, of course, David tried to do the thing he did with the Master. Travel with me. Come. We can be Celestials. And that went over like a lead balloon.
Actually, I think he was almost convinced. I mean, it was very convincing, and I thought that I thought it was, an interesting proposition, but because I love the way it started, where he goes, he goes, I can't believe you're so small. Like, why? Like, you have the ability to do all of this, and you're wasting it by doing this, like. What the, and he makes him feel, and it looks like it has an effect. Like, he's like really going, like really taking him to town on it. And I really appreciated that. I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. It was very, very well
David
done.
David is really, 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 I don't, this might come as a surprise to people, but David is so good.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And then I loved when they were pointing the laser at the different people, That was just, it's like, oh, wow.
Real quick, playing off of something Michael said, because I'm just curious what the four of you think. It's like David's really, really good. And I remember, when with the Netflix Marvel shows, everybody was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to see the villain as villain. And he comes in as the Purple Man, and that's all people could see because of the way he was doing it so well. Mm-hmm. Then he comes back for this, and I felt like it's not just because David himself is older and he's got different perspective on it. I felt like he was playing this Doctor very differently than his original Doctor. And it was like, you're looking at David, but I never felt like I was looking at his Doctor from before. He played it so well.
I never felt like it was the 10th Doctor.
There was a couple things that, there was a lot of things that were familiar, his use of Alonzi and, his smile and everything like that. But then there was other things. To be honest with you, I was really concerned. I didn't mention it in the first two specials because I was like, I'm just going to wait and see what's going on here. Because it did seem like the 14th Doctor was showing some traditionally feminine attributes. And I was like, please don't tell me that he's just feeling this way or you're doing this because he was just a woman. Like, don't do that, Russell. And I looking now that I know the whole picture that Russell's telling, I can see that I don't think that's what he was implying. I think it was just that, the Doctor's tired. He's more open to things. There's a couple of times, and the 10th Doctor did this too. He would snap occasionally, and he would become like a vengeful god at some certain times. Like, you want to take it to a higher authority? There is none. Like, that's the 10th Doctor. He can get angry sometimes. In this one, he just snaps at people. there's that one scene in Unit when he snaps at the scientist.
All of humanity.
When he's like, no, well, but there's that. But then when he goes, oh, because you're so clever. Like, she's like, I don't know why this is not working. Oh, because you're so clever. They can't get past you. Like, you think you're so smart. And I'm like, damn, that was, I don't know if that was called for.
Kind of petty,
then,
actually.
Yeah. And then the other scene, like you were saying, Jerry, that, when he talks about, whereas, that signal is in there. But look, the bad stuff that's happening is all you. It's all humans. You're all capable of this. And he goes on a tirade that I was like, damn, like he is mad at us.
He's more chastising.
Yeah.
That tirade kind of reminded me a bit of what Hal Eccleston was at the beginning. You know, how he would, oh, look at you.
You're just big apes.
Yeah, you big stupid monkeys. That type of thing.
But there's a cuteness to, like, there's a sort of like fondness that he does. Like even in Wild Yonder, like when he's telling Donna, like, oh, your human brain can't accept this yet. You just can't. There's sort of a kindness. But in this one, he just, and I guess it's because he's so exhausted that he's just snapping at people. And we do get, elements of that here where he just, you see the rageful being that the Doctor can be at times. And it's quite frightening.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Because, I was just curious because, we knew when the regeneration happened, we kind of knew what was coming. And then we saw David Tennant returns, and then we knew the toy maker's coming. And I know a lot of people were speculating, well, particularly because the clothes changed. Is this a real regeneration? Did something happen? And now 10's been brought back. And now after seeing all three specials, it's like I'm firmly in this is not 10. This is 4. He's played it so differently and so well. This is legitimately 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way so much in Star Beast. I mean, I saw flashes of it, but as it went along, you could see more and more. I feel like he was playing it as, he's much more touchy-feely in these episodes, and I think the implication is that he's touch-starved. I mean, he's all hurt, no comfort, and he's just at the end of his rope.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, Mary, because I was afraid that that Russell was saying, well, of course he's more touchy-feely now because he was a woman in his last incarnation. I'm like, please don't do that, Russell. Please don't do that. Like I said, that's why I didn't really say anything, because I was waiting, and I'm glad to report that, I see what Russell's doing now, and it's not because of that. So that's
no.
Yeah,
they did so many things. Chibnall did so many things to undermine Jodie's run, I think, that he wasn't even aware that he was doing, that I was afraid Russell was going to do the same thing. And I don't think, at least not intentionally, I don't think he's done that.
Yeah. No, it turned out he's hurt, and he's more touchy-feely or more like that. He's hurt, and he's reaching out for comfort.
Yes.
Nope. Agreed.
Yeah, he's reaching out in the only way he knows how.
Yep.
Which is going back to what's familiar and comforting to him.
Yep.
But why did his clothes change?
So I mean, so now
that's a show on its own there.
Yeah.
I mean, why doesn't Shooty have pants? I mean,
Well, but if you look,
because David has them.
If you look, because they split what they were wearing. Like they
No, I get why.
I mean, we get the
They
answer
wanted
to the
show
age-old
off Shooty's
question.
legs.
We get the answer to the age-old question. Does the Doctor wear briefs or does he wear boxers? We get that answer here. This is important episode. This is important anniversary stuff, people.
Yep, exactly. We found out that 14 then was Commando under
the culmination of the whole special.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, so all that said, Mike, we are on the brink of discussing, like on the brink of of talking about.
We might as well jump in with both feet.
Now let's settle in for 3 hours.
Gets the laser right into the chest.
Now, I was rather startled that it happened so early, and I had heard it's only 42 minutes into the story.
Yeah,
I'm going, wait a second, and I had heard none of the rumors. I had heard later that the Bi-Generation was out there. People had been talking about it.
Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast, actually.
I did.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't listen.
How dare you, Kirby? How dare you not listen to every episode?
You know what, Kirby? I don't blame you because I hardly listen to them.
Yeah, I didn't listen to them either.
No, I'm the one that has to listen to them over
But yeah,
and over and
it was
over again.
interesting because none of us liked the idea of the split before, but the way they did it
was brilliant. It was brilliant.
I have
got
to
no
say,
problem with it.
they won me over.
I am not completely won over. We'll get
Okay.
into that in a bit, but I cannot fault the execution.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting was brilliant from the beginning.
But it was funny the first time I watched it, and and then he started glowing and everything, and Mel and Donna ran up to him and everything. He didn't change, and I said, "Again, come on, Rockwell." It's like, no, we've been there before. We did that already. And then he says, "No, something's different," and I love it. Pull. It's like, oh God, they're doing a big pull my finger, finger joke or something. And
it's funny because he's like, could you pull? And Donna at times gets this face. She makes this face like you're just insulting her at the same time as like informing her, and it's just she does it better than I don't know anybody else other than Catherine Tate's that makes this face, but she just goes, what? Like she's trying. She doesn't understand, and she's insulted at the same time, and she's like, it's just so Donna. I love it.
No, and it was super well done.
Nice to have Mel on the other side too, though. Another companion was nice to have on the other side.
It was nice to have two of them. It could have been Kate though, or it could have been, But I think it was more special having the two of them.
Yeah,
and
two
I loved it
for sure.
Yes, and I loved the introduction of Shooty, and right there,
he commands the screen.
Oh,
absolutely!
I mean, he holds
very
it down with David Tennant without a problem.
Yeah,
yep. He held his own, not a problem, and I loved when they split. You got that scene we've seen in the trailer since the last year. What the hell is going on here? And because you saw in the trailer, there was clouds behind them. Because Russell kept on saying they can't show the actual scene,
right?
The way it is, because it'll ruin what's going on. Now it explains it. We were all predicting, he's at the crossroads where the old doctors were, in the Power of the Doctor. And it's like, nope. This was awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the crossroads thing anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that was more proof that the whole regeneration was something the Toy Master had engineered, and Shooty's doctor was stuck in this limbo. And at some point there would be communication, and it's like, no, they did the same thing they did to the Hulk/Hulkbuster in the Avengers Endgame trailers. They just screwed with the imagery and let us all think completely wrong things.
Yeah. Thanks, AI. Jeez.
Yeah.
No,
you can't trust anything.
Yep, exactly. But I loved how they split the costumes between the two of them. That was well done.
I'm glad that they were both well covered.
Yes.
I have to say, Shooty's probably the most beautiful doctor we've ever had.
Oh my God!
Yes, I fully agree. With that.
You mean still beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's modest.
It's like, not really.
The moment they both turn and say at exactly the same time, we want to play a game to a toy maker, that is such a commanding moment, and they both carry it off.
Yeah.
Oh,
so brilliantly.
That was awesome. I loved them playing it. I loved, hey, we're on the same side. Sorry. Got a little over anxious there. And I loved watching the behind the scenes. And Shooty kept on saying in the behind the scenes, I kept on dropping it. So they had to show me just having the ball in my hand.
To palm it in my hand.
Exactly.
I thought one thing with the bi-generation was interesting, and I think it helped kick Shooty off stronger, more established, faster. letting him be full Doctor, is this is the first regeneration we've seen in like forever and a day where we don't have to go through an entire story of confused, regenerating, struggling Doctor. It's like he's 100% and instant full Doctor persona.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, he's
you
ready
don't have
to.
him, am I a good man or I don't know who I am, and everything. He had it right out from the very beginning, and that was awesome. And the confidence that came off of him was just awesome.
It's not anywhere that I could see after rewatching it the second time. It's not anywhere actually in the episode, but in the commentary for the episode that's available only on, I guess, iPlayer. But I was reading about it afterwards from someone who sort of leaked it. Russell T says this bi-generation not only affects 14 and 15, but it affects every single regeneration that the Doctor has been under. So that is why you can have older Doctors now appear in those Tales of the TARDIS thing, and the Curator, and et cetera, et cetera. He doesn't go into that much detail, but he does say that this has ramifications for every single incarnation. I don't think that's absolutely necessary. To me, that poses more questions than it answers. But I'm glad they didn't put that in the episode, because I don't think it's essential to the story. But it just, I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't know. It just, like I said, to me is a concept that I'm like, I don't know what this means. So whatever.
When I saw somebody else posting the quote and talking about it, and I took from the quote when it was put up with the thing that I saw, I think what he was saying was there was always the possibility for that. So he was almost playing with the idea of like multiverses. There's somewhere out there's a Tom Baker and Peter Davidson split, so there's the older Tom Baker, or this one and this one split, so there's the older. Almost like he was discussing like theoreticals of a multiverse.
Right. And I think it's he's using it to open a door so that we get to see more appearances by former Doctors that are now played by actors that are older. So, I mean, maybe he's got plans for it other than the Tales of the TARDIS stuff that we've already seen.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, he said Tales of the TARDIS is canon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
beyond that, and it may be just it may just be me, because I didn't mind, but I didn't love the timeless child concept and the idea that you've had like dozens and dozens and dozens of Doctors before Hartnell. Right. So yeah, I'm wondering if that also opens the door to Joe Martin's Doctor is an alternate split.
I mean, yeah. I mean, who knows at this point? I mean,
he could use it to justify that. I don't know if he will, but he
could.
Yeah.
Because that also would explain like one glaring problem that I had with that story. That was, she's before Hartnell, but her TARDIS is a blue police box.
Police box, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Although the interior looks very much like Hartnell's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sometimes I think, it's best just to leave these things go and then just move on. But instead of trying to, because we saw that, Moffat did that with Clara, having her like sort of interfere with all the Doctors beforehand. And it's just, to me, it falls flat. Like it's just not necessary.
It's just annoying.
Yeah. It just feels like it's not necessary. Like I've never looked at like, what's the one with the Fifth Doctor and 10, Time Crash?
Time Crash.
Yeah. I didn't look at that and be like, oh my God, that can't be canon. And I'm so upset. It's so horrible. I can't get my head around it. I just went like, this is fun. Like this is fun. Like, when I see the Curator, in the 50th. I don't go, it doesn't break my brain. Instead, I just go, this is fun. I love it. I'm getting emotional. Good on you guys. And so to try to come up with sort of an in-universe way that this stuff should happen or could happen, I just don't think it's really necessary at all.
Yeah,
So I don't, and there are reasons that I'm not a big fan of the bi generation, which we can get into later, but that just compounds it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I that could make all the Big Finish now canon because those are split off doctors.
Yeah, but the Big Finish isn't canon now. They've established in this story, that Big Finish is not canon because here he says this is the second time he's meeting the Celestial Toy Maker, and we know in Big Finish he's met him several times. So
zillions of times, yeah.
So therefore, none of those stories in Big Finish must be canon because guess what? This is the second time he met them.
Although Paul McGann's doctor, in changing to the War Doctor, gives a toast to his companions who only exist in Big Finish. Well, so I think they're doing like some are.
Yeah, yes. I mean they're picking and choosing. I mean look, they're not, but I mean the fact that the Eighth Doctor mentioning them means that everything in Big Finish is canon is just, that was just wishful thinking for a lot of.
It doesn't matter anyway because they can make anything canon or not canon at any time whenever they want.
Absolutely. Like arguing canon in Doctor Who is just
pointless.
Is like.
But I mean, to some degree, I absolutely agree with you. It's like I think sometimes a lot of concepts should become, Bruce Wayne's brother. Oops, this isn't working. God. Let's never mention it again. And eventually, most people forget about it. But I think that's a lost battle these days because everybody goes to the internet and you get entire forums devoted to what about this? What about this? What about this? And it never dies anymore. So nope. I don't feel, I don't envy some of the writers and some of the people that have to do this because they should be able to just kind of go, man, we screwed that up so bad. Can we let's never mention it again. But unlike 30 years, 40 years ago, now it's like, it will live for the next 20 years on the internet, and people will just get more ravenous about, you have to explain this.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a minority of fandom. So I don't think any creators really look at that and go like, and it stops them. I certainly don't think it stops Russell T. Russell T is just like,
do what he wants.
Russell T is like, I'm going to do what I want. And if you guys are talking about it, good, because you're talking about my show.
Yeah. Exactly.
No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know if that's the case, but
I only really like the bi-generation in the way we're talking about it right now for one reason, but I think since that's a theoretical, that's like a few minutes from now or whenever you wanted to do those.
We'll get to it towards the end.
Yeah.
All right. So basically the toy maker lost. He dropped the ball. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of on the nose, like, oh, he dropped the ball. Wah, wah. Like, that was very anticlimactic, in my opinion.
Well, since the two doctors had something behind them to it made it easier
that's true.
Right, it would bounce off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean,
But the toy maker's all being, he could have just floated into the air and caught it, too.
Exactly. Like, it seemed like, it didn't. It really is really anticlimactic. I was like, really? He just kind of missed it. Like, I mean, he's not even like a human body. Like, but I mean, whatever. He had to lose, so it's okay.
Yeah, but I think actually, I mean, I'm not sure it really worked as well as it could have. But I think actually, what Russell T was trying to do was to say this whole thing is pointless.
Sure.
It's a game of catch. It's completely pointless. Everything the toy maker does and comes up with is completely pointless. And so it doesn't matter that, it's actually kind of fitting that it's just so anticlimactic.
Yeah, but it's also, like I said, a staple of RTD where he's like, you know what? I brought up the whole like live broadcast, the first video broadcast thing. That's kind of cool. I brought back the Celestial Toymaker. That's kind of cool. But the story I'm really telling is a story about a doctor who's getting old and needs to retire. Like, that's the story I'm telling. So everything else is secondary. And it, you know, I don't mind it because the main story is compelling enough. But I mean, it is like, it's kind of like the ones where we talk about like, oh, well, that's really fun, but the villain or the monster is weak. You know, it's like, well, in this case, I think the Celestial Toymaker could have been developed more, and I wish he had been, but it's not the main point of that Russell T was trying to bring.
No, not
it was
at all.
It was just the sort of the rose-colored flowers that was decorating the episode.
He was being used to lay groundwork for what's coming up in the series too, in a lot of ways.
I mean, sure. I mean, we can. Yeah. I mean, sure. It's a never ending. I mean, that's the beauty of, you know. Hopefully, as you guys mentioned, hopefully that's meant. I mean, this will never end.
Yeah, of course. But that's the fun thing, you know, when they beat him and he got folded up and everything, nice and neat, and put into the box. I found it funny that the only thing that survived was the gold tooth. You know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Master's always looking to make a break.
Yeah, I just figured that
almost sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Master's like, I'm not doing that.
Master always comes back.
That almost sort of. I mean, I know they had to do it in order to apparently bring the Master back, and they completely did like that. That was literally the scene from his funeral pyre scene, and grab the ring. But that almost sort of made sense because he turned he traps the Master, puts him in a gold tooth, and keeps it. That was something from this universe. So as he's collapsing away, that remains in this universe, pops off of him.
Yeah, good call.
So there's some kind of internal logic in that.
Russell's got his logic hat on for that. And then, you know, we get an ending that's very flash.
So do you want to speculate about who was picking up the gold tooth?
It's Dale Arden, right? It's Dale Arden. I mean, it's just the same scene as the end of Flash Gordon, where, you know, a woman's hand picks up Ming's ring, and then you hear this mean laugh. So it's like, it's the same.
Dun, 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 dun,
and whoever it is, they were standing on the air off the edge of the platform.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute.
So it has to be a member of the Fantastic Four then. Okay, got it.
I didn't catch this first time. The second time I caught like, oh my God, he's got like, I think there are like 6 Masters laughing in the background. Like, I think I hear Missy. I think I hear Delgado. I think I hear I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. Now you're gonna make. I've got it playing over here.
Again.
Oh no, the horror! We have to watch it again to check.
You have to watch it again. I'm so sorry, Kirby. You know, my heart goes out to you.
I've seen it 3 times already, and I don't mind watching again. Now, my theory is that it's the Duchess who is an upcoming villain.
Interesting.
Could be.
And played by the same actress who played in Torchwood that got
Susie.
killed in the.
She played Susie.
Susie, yeah.
Interesting.
They keep killing Susie.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, we all know it's the Ronnie, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's the Ronnie. It's definitely the Ronnie.
I've been saying that since Missy showed up, and they haven't given me the Ronnie yet. So
no.
I've been wanting the Ronnie to come back for a long time.
So it was interesting, and then we got everything started wrapping up.
So, all right, Mike. Okay, real before we do that, my favorite scene in all 3 specials happens right before you're talking about we wrap things up a bit. 14 is at the edge, kind of looking. Donna and 15 come over, and David looks more exhausted than we've ever seen him in his entire life.
Yeah.
And 15 just says, "Come here," and he gives him a hug. And I'm just getting emotional thinking about it because it made me weep. I think it was so earned. And it was so, for me, so emotional because, I mean, we've seen several like doctors interact with one another, and usually they're like Spartan, like they're like, you know, they're at each other's throats or whatever, and they're giving each other crap. This is one that's just like, he understands what this doctor's going through, what he's been through, and what he needs. And it defines, I mean, Shudi's doctor is a hugger, right? Like, I mean, we see that in the first, like few minutes that he's in there, or the last few minutes that he's in there. And I'm like, this is a different doctor. I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this guy. He gives him a little kiss on the forehead. I was just like, this is so beautiful. This is such a beautiful moment. Yeah, it brings tears to my eyes. Just thinking about it. It's the only time I cracked up, like, you know, during the whole thing.
Yep. No, it was a wonderful, wonderful scene. And all the scenes, but with the two of them, yeah, like you said, Mike, you always have doctors corporate with each other, or they just don't, like, you know, they're trying to outdo each other in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You never felt that with these two at all.
Well, I mean, there's some banter and some sparring for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playful.
But you know, he also knows that, because it comes out later, that because 14 does what he does, which is rests and takes care of himself and stops running for a while and heals, it allows 15 to be the doctor that he is. And it's one of those weird timey-wimey things, but yet it's so essential, I think, to the story that Russell's telling here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that line. Well, we did rehab out of order.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course you did, because you're the doctor.
Exactly. And I thought that was perfect. I thought that was really, really well done. You know, I liked the idea, you know, how they had the energy from the toy maker still to be able to not use the giant hammer to make another TARDIS.
Magic wand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was fine with
that.
Yeah,
I was fine with it.
It was better than them planting a seed in the ground and growing a TARDIS.
God, yeah.
Well, and it kind of, again, I don't know if he actually logically thought of it, but it kind of made a logical sense. The doctor won the game, but only one of the doctors said, "Here's my prize." Right. So when it was time, he was still owed a prize. So that energy was still there waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure. I mean,
every TARDIS has a little cabinet underneath the walkway with a giant hammer in it, you know.
But where else would you keep your giant hammer? I mean,
yeah, of course.
I mean, they led me to believe anyway that was from their first meeting.
It might have been. I don't,
because we never really saw the toy maker with a hammer in this story.
No.
So it's like this is what he won the first time or something.
Because there's lots of circus stuff.
Yeah.
In the original story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of circus stuff. And there's also a clown named Clara.
Yes. Oh, I was like, that was one of my theories. I was like, nope, do not mention that one, Mike. Do not mention that one on the podcast. No, we're not going to go there. But I thought it was a great, splitting off, and now they, the 15th Doctor is going to continue, and now the 14th Doctor is going to go hang out with Donna and the family and everything, and tell eyebrow stories.
Except when he's taking Rose off to Mars.
To Mars.
Yeah.
Or Mel to New York.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I thought the Doctor couldn't go to New York anymore because of Rory and Amy.
No, he just can't go to that spot.
Okay.
Right.
That time period.
That time period.
Because she's dead.
Exactly.
Well, that's all right then.
But that's all right.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the best, but that's all right then's was about Adric. I saw.
Oh God, yeah, they're really pushing the Adric thing.
Yeah, they mention Adric. I mean, for people who are looking for references, I mean, Shudi and David go through a whole 2-minute thing where they're bouncing stuff off each other, and you're like, okay, check off. Like that's there's that story. There's that story. There's that story. The key to time. There's like almost every doctor is represented with some sort of event that they're trying to get over.
Even brought up River Song.
Yeah, even River gets a mention.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the post that Sadie Miller made? That she was really appreciative of her mom's character being mentioned.
Yeah, that moved me too,
and especially that way.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't just a mention in passing. That was Sarah Jane, and it was like that long pause, and I really loved her.
Yeah.
And the other one saying, "I loved her." Like I'm the same. We're the same guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we all loved her.
Everyone loves Sarah Jane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was my best friend. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a good ending, and I'm now looking forward to the Christmas special.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Big looking forward.
The trailer for the Christmas special looks so much fun. I don't know why it's not on Disney Plus. I don't know what they're doing over there, but I did watch.
Disney Plus did put out a teaser trailer of their own.
Did they?
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Yeah, I haven't seen that for the Christmas one. Okay.
Yeah, for the Christmas.
Because I mean, I get I watched one. It was on YouTube or whatever. I think it was from the BBC, and I was like, yeah, this guy's different. This guy's really different, and I
never thought I would ever see the Doctor at a rave.
I know. This guy's got a jukebox. He likes to dance. He likes to play music. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome.
I was surprised that they put out that. I was surprised they put out that whole song.
Oh, for the elves or whatever.
Yeah,
the goblins.
The goblins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was surprised they put that out too. All right, theories now. Comments.
So the Doctor. So RTD did it was the landmark episode. It was a landmark achievement. Doing the regeneration this way, the bi-generation. I think he handled it really well. I think he did it really well. He executed it really well. It moved me. It was fun. It was inventive. I can't fault David. I can't fault Shooty. They're both great. But leaving 14 sort of to just chill out on the planet really gave me Dark Knight Rises vibes, and I didn't care for it. And I feel like, I don't, everybody's like, oh, well, the Doctor's retired. The Doctor's right. No, he's not.
No.
We all know that we're going to get 14 Doctor adventures.
Oh, yeah.
And I really feel like it undercut Shooty. I was worried about this. I still feel like it could happen. I feel it's a safe bet. It's a cowardly act. I said it. I feel like it's a cowardly act. And I think RTD did the best that he could with it, but I don't care for it. I don't care for it.
I'm gonna stay open-minded about it. I mean,
I am too.
I feel like Shooty is so strong on his own, especially after seeing him interact with Tennant at the end of the Giggle, that I'm not as worried about it as I was. I shared your worries. I did.
Yeah,
I know. We talked about it, right?
Yeah, but and I'm not saying that I'm completely convinced that won't happen, but I do think Shooty is an extremely strong actor on his own. He's already embodying the Doctor, so I'm not as worried about it as I was before. And it's hard not to be happy about getting more Doctor Who.
No, absolutely. It's like for everything that I said, when they show like the further adventures of Doctor and Donna or whatever that 8-word title spinoff is going to be. I'm
Lady Vastra and Jenny.
Yeah. I wish, Jerry. It's like I'm going to watch them. I know I'm going to watch them, and I'll probably enjoy them. I love David Tennant watching and watching him play the Doctor, and I like his take on 14, and I enjoy them a lot. So it's not coming out of a place that I never want to see David Tennant play the Doctor again. It's just that I just feel like, I saw it happen with Jodie, and I just don't want it to happen to Shooty where they just get undercut. And, I just feel like if the Doctor should be the Doctor, And you can have some fun doing some other things occasionally, but let's not make any mistake. Mary, I hope that it works out that way. But if we get a David Tennant series next year, then I'm going to be disappointed.
I think it's going to be a couple years before you get it, though.
Yeah, I doubt it would be next year. I think it'd be more likely to be 2025. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
and I mean, it would be fine to have like a special or two every year or so, or have it do like a Marvel show. Have it be not a
miniseries.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like Loki.
Exactly.
But for all those people who are, all those people who are closed-minded, this gives them a doctor. And I hate that. I hate that. It was like, that's one of the reasons why we sort of have turned Graham into the sort of weird figure that he is because he had no business being on that TARDIS. Just like it was just a safe bet. It screams safety. On a corporate level, that it doesn't feel organic.
Well, my thing with Bi-Generation and playing off of all of this is the one thing I liked about it is it kind of works with some of the established continuity, what they've done in a weird way. I don't want to see a David Tennant series with this guy, with this doctor. I wouldn't mind one or two specials here and there. If the specials have a legit purpose, I think Schutte is going to do such a good job that we don't. And it's not Chibnall; it's a different showrunner. I had my issues with Russell, particularly towards the end of Tennant's original run, where he started getting a little out there and a little off. But he handles these things a lot better, and I personally, I wouldn't mind one or two specials down the road that maybe set 14 off to where we're never going to see him again. Because where I was saying, in my head canon, the Bi-Generation works because it created an explanation, and I thought it was super clever, and now I've seen like about 100 other people coming up with it. This is the first time we've ever seen a doctor take on an old face before in actually happening that way. But it's not the first time we've seen a doctor with an old face.
Right.
He's going to outlive Donna and the rest of the family. He's a Time Lord.
Well, eventually, we think so. We don't know.
No, he is.
I mean, he has the potential to, but he could die at any time. And does he regenerate when he dies?
Yeah,
probably.
Does he regenerate? I mean, are we just going to? Is it exponential? Or are we just going to keep?
Well,
does he regenerate into 16? Or 14,
the Toymaker even brings that up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I hope he doesn't. But my thought is eventually, if this doctor continues on, I don't want to see his stories, but they can at least reference it eventually. He's going to outlive them. Now he's going to want to figure out what to do. But if he's settling into that different life that he's been missing out on, the safest place for him to go is in the past few decades, because he doesn't have to be a big doctor still, because the younger doctors are taking care of all of the things that are happening. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to save the world, but the TARDIS usually takes the doctor sometimes where he needs to go. What if the TARDIS takes him back to the opening of some tiny little museum that's just found itself in a rock and a hard place because it's lost its presenter and its curator? And you eventually find him having to take that museum spot and having to be there because how did those portraits from the 50th anniversary get to the museum?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's the doctor that has to do this and eventually becomes the doctor who revisits a few old faces, because those portraits have to be there. Because if those portraits aren't there, you don't have the revelation.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have the revelation. You don't say, because when we met the doctor, our first three doctors had the weight of the world and tormented souls because they thought they killed their own people.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got that special, And it's not Gallifrey Falls or no more. It's Gallifrey Falls no more, and they saved Gallifrey. Those things have to be there. And they showed us Tom Baker as, the great curator. Well, what if that's 14's future?
Mm-hmm.
What if that's 4's future? I mean, David's written, RTD's written it so that it can be 4's future. We don't, I'm not as interested in patching up old plot holes or things than I am moving forward. But, I think the other thing that just kind of, as innovative and as well executed as this was, I cannot help but think, oh my God, we've kind of seen this before, a David Tennant doctor that lives happily ever after with his companion. RTD's done this before. I've already seen memes where there's how many David Tennant doctors out there?
Have you seen the meme that's for the 70th anniversary?
I don't think so.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 different David Tennants, all the different variants of his doctor that we've seen.
Yeah, I think I've seen something like that. Yeah, where it's David Tennant as the Valued, David Tennant as 14, David Tennant as the Dr. Donna, David Tennant,
Well, how would you feel if it was something like, say there's a unit spinoff? Would you be okay if David Tennant just appears every once in a while as a guest star on an episode?
I mean, we'll see.
I just don't want him fixing everything. This is how it works.
Yeah.
Boom.
What's going to happen though if Shooty's off saving the universe and the Daleks invade Earth? Will 14 save Earth?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's got a, he's got a TARDIS. He can go back in time and show up whenever the Daleks are going to be there. So I mean, that's never been a concern.
Yeah.
But
I know where you're coming from with your worries about it, but my oldest daughter was coming into these specials, and she was really loving them. And one of the things that really bothered her, she's not the extreme Doctor Who geek I am. But she
few
loves
are, Kirby. Few are. We say this as he's wearing a scarf
and a Fifth Doctor shirt.
Of course.
She loves the classic Who as well, and she's 29, so she's not young. But she was coming into these going, there's only 3 David Tennant ones. She didn't like the thought of losing David Tennant as a Doctor again, just because she loved him so much. And so to her, this is great. So
well, this also, basically takes all the Tennant fangirls, and makes them happy, placates them.
Yeah. Like her.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And it's so many people, I'm not going to watch Doctor Who anymore because Tennant's not the Doctor anymore. Well, guess what, folks? He's still the Doctor. Just not the one you were expecting.
I wish I could get my other 2 daughters to watch these specials. They gave up on Doctor Who at Capaldi.
I mean, I love David Tennant's Doctor, but honestly, part of the reason I put together the theory that I did and kind of hope that they do that they kind of quietly move him in that direction and out of the picture, is I honestly don't want to keep seeing lots of David's Doctor. I got nothing against him, but we have a primary Doctor, and I want that Doctor to be the Doctor. I want that Doctor to not have this other thing in the back pocket kind of distracting from that. I don't, and kind of like what's already been said, there were a lot of things under Chibnall that undercut Jodie, who I thought in the first episode she had was going to become a brilliant Doctor despite all the naysayers, and she should have been, but she got undercut by bad choices, bad writing, and sometimes I don't know if I know they didn't do it deliberately, but the Doctor should never feel like they're the secondary character. And sometimes that's how it felt in her series. And I don't want Ncuti to have that happening to him after seeing what he's done already, because you've got a fantastic person to take Doctor Who in the future. Mm-hmm. We don't need a doctor in our back pocket just in case, or to pull out for whenever, because you can always come up with a reason to have doctors meet doctors from the past.
Yep.
We don't need two of them simultaneously being the Doctor. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, RTD has said, I mean, before he even ever took over again, that he had this idea about having multiple doctors running around, that he liked the idea of having multiple doctors running around.
No, I agree with
that. I don't think he was specifically thinking of Tennant. He just liked the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Tennant's the one who's available.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor is a character that can go anywhere in time and space, you don't even need a reason to have multiple doctors.
No, I mean, there's always multiple doctors running around because they can be at any point in time.
Exactly. They can cross over each other's time streams whenever. I mean, obviously we know that there's ramifications for that, but still, that's all stuff that's made up and that can be changed.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a whole story called, what, The Five Doctors? We can do that.
You can do that. Hell, in the 50th anniversary, they had 13 doctors floating around at the same time.
Yep.
So,
but all that said...
Oh, yeah.
And I know we have to move on, Mike, so all that said, I'll just say I am so looking forward to Christmas.
Oh, so am I. Less than 2 weeks.
I don't think... And Mary, I don't want to steal your thunder because I know you feel the same way. I feel like I haven't been this excited to see a new Doctor take over like in a long time.
Well, let me just throw in real quick. Wasn't it refreshing that we didn't get the new Doctor at the very end of the episode?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that we actually got to see the new Doctor in action. You know, and that was wonderful. And it got me so frippin' excited for Ncuti to come in.
And on top of what I said about him establishing himself earlier, you know what else that broke from the tradition of the recent shows? We lose a Doctor. They build it up as a tragic moment. And just use any of them, but like Tennant. He's sorrowful. He's sad. We've got the music playing. The giant explosive regeneration, and as a fan you don't really have a chance to mourn that because instantly you have a comedy scene. And then they did the same thing with Smith to Capaldi, and somewhat Capaldi to Jodie, and Jodie to Tennant, which wasn't a comedy scene, but it was at the same time. And this wasn't. We didn't have that kind of it was a different regeneration. It didn't play into the stereotype of the regenerations they've been doing in the modern era.
Nope, agreed.
And the beauty of it is that, you know, we get to see David die again sometime.
Exactly. And so now
maybe by that time he'll want to go.
I don't want to go.
Maybe this time it'll be like,
now he's
for God's sake, just let me go.
Just I'm done.
Please, I want to go this time.
I'm done.
Exactly.
I'm 75.
David Tennant.
I'm 98.
Exactly.
David Tennant, no more.
Okay, let's go ahead and rate. Are we, is anyone going to give less than 5 stars?
I'm
looking at you, Mike Gordon.
I'm not happy with some things, but it's not a reflection of the execution of this. I mean, it's such fun and it's so big. It's so big and beautiful.
How would you rate the 3 episodes? Is this one your favorite?
No, let's hold on. Let's do that in 2 episodes when we do the live episode, because we're going to be rating all of them together.
No, we're going to be rating all 4 of them together.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dun, dun. They're going to be against each other. Dun, dun, dun,
exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. More of the episode. So, 1 out of 5 TARDISes. Anyone giving it a 4 or 5? Everybody?
5.
I mean, my rating went up the more I watched it.
Yeah.
You know? It was one of those episodes that just got better.
It actually got better every time I watched it. Too.
Are you buy rating now, Mary?
Yes, I'm buy rating.
Yeah.
That explains so much.
I'm going to be partially contrarian and just say 4.5 TARDISes, because I still have a couple of quibbles, but unlike Mary, I've watched it 3 times and my personal ratings for it keep going up. So if you ask me in 2 more viewings, I might be at 5.
Yeah. When you hear all the masters in the tooth, you'll go 5. It's a 5.
Yeah, once we're done, I'm going to be listening for that.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, guys. Well, folks at home, thank you so much for listening to us. This is our longest episode ever, I think, we've done. And we could have kept on going for another hour. Trust me, I know we could have. We're, like I said, we're going to be back for the Christmas special in 2 weeks. And we're looking forward to it. The church on Ruby Road. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. Then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be doing a live episode where we're going to be talking about the status of Doctor Who and taking all 4 of the episodes and, putting them into a hat and smushing them together and everything. And it should be a ton of fun to do. And you know what? Thank you everyone for joining us. Feedback at Earth Station Who is the best way to get in touch with us. And, we definitely would love to hear from you guys on this one. Please, if you get a chance, check out our Facebook group. We're going to be still talking about this for quite some time in there. And so if you haven't joined the Facebook group, folks, it's a great, great group to join. And, Doctor Who galore, and we're just having a ton of fun in there. So check it out. Also, you know what, folks, if you get a chance, like and subscribe. That's the best way of a rating we can get from you guys. Let us know that you guys are listening. Subscribe to us if you haven't in the past. We're everywhere. So, and I can reveal it now. We're going to be having in 2024 a YouTube channel. You're going to be able to see our faces. So,
by generating the podcast into a YouTube.
Because we're by generating the podcast.
Exactly. So, exactly. And all our clothing will split, with it and everything. Especially because it's be on video.
Once people can see my face, I will never be invited back again.
Oh, that's not nice. All right, anyway. And that was Jerry Chandler. Thank you so much for joining.
Well,
Mr. Hiding behind there.
Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure, and it legitimately is always an honor when you think of reaching out and, hey, do you want to come on? It's always a pleasure, and I'm always honored that you invite me on.
Jerry, you have an open door. You know that.
Thank you.
And Kirby, thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for inviting me a couple of weeks ago when we were all at dinner.
Yeah.
It's always fun to talk to you guys. It's different vibe than my usual.
Oh, very much so. Well, you guys, you have 20 megabytes to fill, so
We went over 20 megabytes 10 years ago. Longer than that.
You want to promote the podcast real quick?
Yeah, I'm one of the co-hosts for the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast, which is based out of the Isle of Wight in England. And we have been going for several years now. We're going through watching every story and discussing every story. And this coming week, we're going to be going into the Dalek.
Ooh, awesome. Fun Capaldi episode.
Yeah.
All right. Let me thank our regulars, of course. Ms. Mary, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you for having me. Finally, New Who is back.
Yes, and then we're going to go on hiatus again. No.
Maybe not for so long, though. I bet we get Shooty in the spring.
Yes, Shooty in the spring.
That
sounds so wonderful.
An Easter story.
Exactly. You want to promote your artwork?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you as always, sir.
And as always, it's my pleasure.
And as always, folks, thank you for listening. There's so many Doctor Who choices to listen to, and you guys are listening to us. And if you made it this far, over 2 hours, Folks.
Yeah.
You guys have gumption.
We didn't even have room for the news.
Exact. Oh no, we didn't get. We would be here another hour if we were talking about the Toy Maker remake that they're doing.
No, it's simple. We can just say it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's one of the worst animations I've ever seen.
Stuff. Yeah, stuff is happening.
We'll talk about in the Christmas special the new Sonic screwdriver also. So.
Even the Sonic remote?
Yeah, exactly. The universal remote from God. That's it. All right, folks. We'll see you later. We're getting goofy.
We're getting goofy?
No, I know.
Yeah, kidding.
What am I
My
saying?
permanent state.
Exactly. Well, everyone, see you later, Lynn.
До свидания.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
Hey, Leah.
Hey, Sean.
You know what now's a good time for?
What's that?
A promo for the Soul Forge podcast.
The Soul Forge? What's that?
Oh, it's a show. It's a podcast all about sex and dating.
Love and relationships.
Pop culture and movie reviews.
Adventure.
Almost anything you can think of.
Definitely.
What is it?
The Soul Forge.
The Soul Forge podcast.
Think about it.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.